You are a victim, your feelings are valid, and it's okay for you to speak your truth. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, High Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, then that means it is not in line, which means it is not for you, so do not force it, as well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. For the month of May, we have been going over and discussing how life is going to change, which means nothing in life is going to last forever, which means it's time for you to move forward and live your best life. But for today's video specifically, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning, we're going to go over and discuss the fact that in order for you to heal yourself and be successful, you have to identify and acknowledge that you were a victim at one point in your life. When you've gone through trials and tribulations, when you were going through abuse, when you were suffering, when you were struggling, you did feel the way that you did, and it is unfortunate that you had to experience that, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you need to be aware of. So starting off with the introduction, starting off the first couple of disclaimers. Once again, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. You are a victim. You have to say that. You have to acknowledge that. You have to say, I, Ty Guidance, I, whatever your name is, in the comment sections, verbally out loud and on your notes, that you are a victim. And the reason why you have to say this is because you have to accept what has happened to you. Until you're able to accept and until you're able, to process and understand and go through the emotions of what you've experienced, you will continue to have PTSD. You will continue to be anxious. You will continue to be depressed. You will continue to have suicidal thoughts. You will continue to have negative thoughts. You will continue to allow the people and the places and things that you're meant to outgrow to hold space in your energy, your mind, and your thoughts. And you will not be able to change emotionally, physically, subconsciously, consciously, financially, or howeverly. You have to verbally accept that you did suffer, you did go through trials and tribulations, and it's so important that you verbally acknowledge it, so therefore you stop suppressing how you feel. Until you're able to talk about what has happened to you and you don't feel shame, you don't feel guilt, you don't feel embarrassed, you will continue to shrink yourself, you will continue to doubt yourself, you will continue to hold on to the fear and the pain and the suffering that no longer needs to stay in your heart, your spirit, or your mind. And the longer you hold on to negative energy or people and places and things who hurt and harm you, the more you're going to self-sabotage yourself, if not destroy yourself and others. So the second thing you need to realize once you identify that you were a victim is allowing yourself to accept how you felt. Nobody wants to be touched on inappropriately. Nobody wants to go through trials and tribulations. Nobody wants to be bullied. No one wants to grow up in poverty. No one wants to be harassed. Nobody wants to be stalked. No one wants to deal with narcissists. Nobody wants to be gaslight. Nobody wants to be fired. Nobody wants to be homeless. The reality is there are a lot of people in this world who hurt people because they have been hurt. And until you accept the hurt and the anger and the frustration for what it was, instead of trying to act like it never happened or continuing to blame other people for what maybe you didn't know any better, you will continue to be frustrated. You will continue to be miserable. That is how that is how you become envious. That is how you become resentful. That is how you become obsessive. That is how you become possessive. That's how you go out your way to hurt people. This is why people are physically taking people's lives as well as emotionally and mentally. You don't have to be like the energy that tried to come towards you. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to receive it. It's really important that you allow yourself to cry, you allow yourself to see a therapist, you allow yourself to see a psychiatrist, you're following me, you're liking these videos, you're engaging, you're asking questions, you're booking a service or a session, or you're able to confide in somebody, such as God, the ancestors, and the universe. Take what resonates, leave the rest, because I'm not here to force religion or spirituality. You have to be able to stop denying that you felt the way you did. If you were taken advantage of, if you were being touched inappropriately, if people were gaslighting you, if people manipulated you, if people got you fired, if people grouped up against you, if people tried to control a narrative about you, if people provoked you, you're allowed to feel mad. Like, you're not less of a person because you're angry. You're not less of a person because you know you're not out here hurting and harming people. You're not less of a person because people wanted to gossip about you. You're not less of a person. And a lot of times the things that people have said and done to you is never true. It's a reflection of who they are. And this is why it's so important that you do realize that, you know what, it's not even the fact that you were just so naive or that you're gullible or that you're dumb. When you're a good, beautiful person inside first before on the outside, you're not out here trying to hurt and harm people. You're not out here trying to dim other people's lights. And I'm speaking from experience. What has helped me along my healing journey was to accept the fact that not everybody is at peace with themselves internally, and that's not my responsibility or my job. So if you're not at peace with yourself and you know you don't have any good intentions to be there for me or for yourself, you don't need to be around me. And that's the same thing with you. Like, yes, it is unfortunate that people think they can come towards us or try to figure us out or spread rumors or get people to go up against us. That has everything to do with them. Like, you don't need to attach yourself to low vibrational energy when you know that's not who you are. So many people are going to talk about you. So many people are going to have things to say, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're skinny, you're fat, you're trans, you're a he, or you are a she, or a they. Like, it doesn't define who you are. And most importantly, why would you want to be like the people who went out their way to hurt and harm you? It's so imperative for you to realize that, you know what, you're not less of a person because you care. People try to act so nonchalant. Everybody has feelings. Even the people that sit here and try to act like, oh, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, or I'm Mrs. You care. You care a lot, and you're allowed to care. And also too, it's so important that you're confining and you're identifying and acknowledging how you feel without people trying to gaslight you, manipulate you. I've met so many narcissistic people that when I would express myself, people would say things like, oh, you're being sensitive, or that's how you feel, or I don't see any wrong with what you do. Like, people will try to be so dismissive of your feelings because they're not used to expressing themselves. They're not used to being vulnerable. It's nothing embarrassing. It's nothing humiliating about being vulnerable. It's a blessing and it's a privilege that a lot of people don't have. Be vulnerable. Be honest. Don't worry about people trying to judge you or mock you. You know how ugly and disgusting and degrading and demeaning you have to be as a person to mock somebody who's poor, to mock somebody who's struggling, to mock somebody who's going through things. You're not better than people. People try to act as if like, oh, I have all this money, I have all these material things. None of that stuff holds any weight, if we're going to be completely honest, especially for those of you who say that you're biblical, spiritual, or religious. That stuff is materials, comes and goes. You know, it's not your energy, your spirit, and what you're meant to do in this life. You don't have to limit your life just because other people limit themselves or because they're not happy with themselves. You're allowed to talk about how people going out their way to get you fired can make you feel frustrated. You're not less of a person. That doesn't make you sensitive. That doesn't make you weak. What are you talking about? You know, like I said, it's disgusting. So many disgusting individuals that I've encountered in my life. Anytime I wanted to talk about how I feel, people want to be dismissive. No, just because you don't vocalize and express yourself, and because you've never been given the opportunity to do so, you're not going to make me feel bad about talking about what has happened to me and how people made me feel. And if you didn't want me to speak on certain things, if people really didn't want you to say certain things, they shouldn't have done it. When you know you're not out here being a grimy and a scuzzy, degrading, because it's really ugly. It's ugly and it's very low vibrational. Like, when you know you're not out here like trying to start problems with people, and people just want to have an issue because they have their own insecurities, they have their own envy, and they don't even want to be woman enough or man enough to acknowledge them. Once again, what do you look like allowing that to make you feel bad about acknowledging it? And a lot of times when you try to confront people, I've met so many, like I said, insecure people who are so prideful and so egotistical in a negative way that they would rather be wrong, they would rather be ignorant, and they would rather be malicious and envious before they sit there and acknowledge and apologize or realize that they didn't have to say the things they did, they didn't have to do the things they did, but they chose to. People choose what they want to do, good or bad, right or wrong, especially if they claim to be adults. A lot of people are aware of what they've done. So you need to allow yourself to be frustrated. You're allowed to feel disappointed. Like, me personally, I was never upset, but it was just the audacity. I was in disbelief because a lot of times, even though I am aware that nobody has the same energy as me, and I don't try to like convince it on other people, it was just the audacity. It's just like, how dare you come around me and try to get me fired or spread rumors or get people to turn on me, or you sit here and act like you want to be my friend or my family or my man or whatever it was, and you turn around and you sit here and you don't, you know, defend me, or you allow people to just sit here and treat me on any type of way, knowing that I would never have done that to you. I'm a human being. My feelings are valid, and you have to realize that I was a victim. You were a victim, but just because we were a victim, like I said, doesn't mean that we have to stay there. This is why you need to let that frustration out. Don't let nobody gaslight you or make you feel bad because you want to stand up for yourself. Let them weak hoes sit down. So the fourth disclaimer is knowing that you are going to be angry. You are going to feel frustrated. You may feel disappointed. You may feel like, how dare these people? Not because you were naive, not because you were innocent, not because you deserve to go through the things that you went through. Because once again, you're just living your life. And the thing is, so many predators in this world feel like because you're a beautiful person, you're an innocent person, they could just bring your ugliness around you. No. You have to start paying attention, and that's going to be the fifth disclaimer before we get into recommendations. You need to start accepting people for who they are the first time. There's so many signs, there's so many warnings, there's so many red flags with certain people. And once again, a lot of times when you just don't live like that, when you're not malicious, when you're not ugly in the inside, when you are raised a certain type of way, when you have respect, because that's what it's about. It has nothing to do with how much money you have. That's not a flex, because money is really not like that hard to make. People be acting like, oh, I have millions and trillions of dollars. There's so many millions and trillions of billionaires. Oh, I have a big house. My house is made out of... You're not the only person who lives in a brick house. Oh, I drive a Lamborghini and I drive a Ferrari. You know how many Ferraris there are in the world? Once again, the only people who are not able to understand that are people who are not used to that. We're not going to get into that, but it's like, be for real. But it's like, you need to start paying attention. Like, once you gain the information, once you see certain people, you cannot change them. You have to separate yourself from them. Or if you want to be in their life, you cannot help them. You have to meet them where they are. You have to be patient with them, and they have to meet you where you are. Or you just need to separate yourself. And that's the first recommendation. In order for you to realize that you once were a victim, you have to see these people for who they are. Not what you wanted them to be, not what you thought they were. And you need to stop expecting yourself from other people. So the best way for you to do that is that when you're meeting people, allow them to say certain things without being so quick to be reactive or responsive. Allow them to do certain things. Pay attention to what they say. Pay attention to what they do. Make sure it's in alignment. So many people, like, and it's so, like I said, it's so mortifying, not for me, but for them. So many people are so ignorant, because let's go ahead and call a spade for a spade. So many ignorant people will sit here and say certain things knowing that their energy doesn't match it. And when you have a high level of discernment, when you're protected, when you are quote unquote, you know who you are, you could see through it. When you know you're not a liar or a thief, it's obvious when a thief and a liar comes. Like, for example, Dora the Explorer. Dora and Boots will be walking down the path to wherever destination that they were going to, and here comes Swiper. Dora and Boots were innocent. They weren't conniving. They weren't malicious. They weren't evil. They weren't wicked. They're minding their business, being happy-go-lucky. Dora and Boots minding their business, and here comes Swiper. Because Dora and Boots were good people, they had good hearts, they had good energy, they knew Swiper was bad. That's the same thing with you. You know when certain people don't have your best interest. It really doesn't take that long to figure it out. And if you are somebody who doesn't have discernment and you're not able to peep and read the room immediately, you need to ask yourself, well, what is this person wanting to do with me? As you get to know them, and start picking up on the clues, because the longer you surround yourself with people and places and things who are not for you, the longer they will go out their way to sabotage you. They will spread rumors, they will gossip, they will get you fired, they will do any and everything, and they don't care because they have no respect for themselves. So number 2, once you start reading the room, once you start seeing the signs for what it is, you need to make a decision on what type of people you want to be around, what you want for yourself. It is okay that you've had to learn certain things after you experience the trials and tribulations. And the reason why it's okay is because you're alive. A lot of people, when they go through trials and tribulations, they don't survive. A lot of people, like I said, end up taking their lives get taken, or some people mentally go into a spiral so dark that they get checked into these mental hospitals and these institutions. And a lot of times these people who don't mean them well, especially in Western society, they start to give them these prescriptions, and then that's when people just start going insane. And yeah, we'll talk about that in a different video, because I know like how sensitive and how deep that is for some people. But it's just like, you need to realize, like, what did you have to learn? That's the third recommendation. You need to realize, okay, when you are around certain people, places, and things, because it's a pattern, you need to realize what type of people are coming to you. Just because you are a good person and just because you're minding your business doesn't mean that people are not going to feel entitled. It is very weird. It is very psychotic. It is very parasocial in a negative way. But you have to realize, just because you're a good person doesn't mean that people are not going to be paying attention to you. And you have to realize that people are always paying attention to you. Don't listen to people be like, oh, well, nobody's paying. Yes, they are. Especially if you know you have big things that you want to do, or you have certain goals that you want to accomplish. And I'm speaking from experience. Once I started to realize how many people were paying attention to me and how committed they were to sit here and bring me down or do whatever they wanted to do, 180. You got to flip the script. Like, you really do have to be aware. And it's not even about you being paranoid. People who don't go through this are not going to get it. So it's like, don't allow people who have not gone through this certain amount of abuse or trials and tribulations or any suffering make you feel bad. And that's going to be the fourth recommendation. Like, you have to realize that people are miserable. People are not happy. People do not have good energy. Like, for my content, everyone is not going to be in alignment with me. A lot of people are going to be very triggered with me if they're not at peace with themselves, if they don't know themselves on a subconscious level, on a conscious level, or as people like to say, a spiritual level. Because at the end of the day, everybody has the energy, everybody has an aura. Whether you're a scientist, you're atheist, you believe in God, ancestors, the universe. There's a thing for everybody. You need to realize, like, I know there's certain environments, certain people, places, and things I don't need to be around. And you need to be taking it very seriously. Like, a lot of people surround themselves with people knowing the one moment somebody says something you don't like and they keep doing it, it's very subtle. You need to clock it. That's how Takeoff, rest in peace, and that's how Selena passed away. They surrounded themselves with people who did not like them, who did not want to be around them. They pretended to be obsessed with them. They pretended to be for them, and they end up getting their lives taken out. People die like that every day, and I'm talking about that in real life. Like, I've met people who really tried to hurt an army. And I'm not, no, like, me personally, I am with the ish, and I'm like not the one to be played with. So you will F around and find out. But it's just like, not everyone is aware. So it's just like, not everyone, you know, may know how to defend yourself. So if you're not somebody who can defend yourself, you need to start taking it very seriously. Like, once you realize that somebody's throwing shade, once you realize people are passive aggressive, once you clock the micro expressions, once you realize somebody says something where their energy is off, once you realize people act quiet when they're around certain people, once you realize people pick and choose, once you get confirmations, because a lot of times for those of you who are highly intuitive to God, ancestors, universe, or whatever you believe in, you get confirmations, you get downloads, you already know the tea. Once again, don't let nobody gaslight you, because that's what people do. Like, when people are guilty, and like I said, people are ignorant and people are not aware of themselves, people haven't gone through certain consequences, because what you put out, it does come back. They will sit here and they'll do everything they can, because they're just like, well, how does she know that? How does he know that? Not everybody is gifted, you guys. Not everyone has the vision to see. So if you're blessed and you're watching these videos and you're coming across this channel, you need to realize, like, not everybody knows what you know, and that's why you have to know what you know. And that's the fifth recommendation. Stand on what it is that you know. Don't let nobody play with you. When you have to be around these people, I will say this before I end up the video, because I don't want to make this too much longer than what it is. When you have to be in these environments, keep it cool. You don't need to react and respond once you realize you're minding your business. Once you realize people are watching you, let them watch. Just obviously, just don't do anything to where, you feel embarrassed, because that's all that matters. People talking about you is not your business, and there's no correlation. There's no logic. People going out their way to gaslight you has everything to do with them. People withholding support, that's not going to stop you. As long as you know who you are, you know what you believe in, you know what you stand for, everyone's not always going to be compatible with you. Everyone's not always going to be in alignment with you. And once you realize certain people are not in alignment with you, don't go back and forth. And of course, this is going to take some practice and some time, because like I said, you may be around people. It's going to be people that you know. It's not going to a lot of times be strangers, because strangers don't know you. But even if it is a stranger, once you realize people say some slick stuff in their comments, or if somebody says something slick to you in a conversation, a backhanded compliment, or you realize people are looking at you a certain type of way, or like I said, you get in a room and people's energy shift, or people roll their eyes, or they say certain things and keep it cool. Keep your profession. Let them look crazy. If you have to work with these people, realize that you're not meant to be in that environment forever, and you need to figure out an exit plan. If you're living with these people, same thing. You're not meant to live there forever. Do what you need to do, save up so you can get out of there. And if you're married or in a relationship with people, you need to realize this is not going to work. You cannot change people. You cannot convince people. And if people loved you, they would love themselves and love you. It's not love. That's not support. You going out your way to talk badly about me, you do not like me. They don't. And a lot of times, if we're going to be honest, for those of you who are very high vibrational, people do like you, people do admire you, but because they have so many insecurities, because they're not willing to face themselves, because they're feeling uncomfortable, because they're not as vulnerable or as honest or authentic as you, they feel uncomfortable. And instead of them saying that, which would help them, they would rather sit here and make it seem like you're just this issue. You're so problematic. Because it's like, if you're really problematic, nobody would talk badly about you. If you were really a problem, nobody would want to be around you. People would avoid you. I don't know about you, but like, when I know something or someone's not for me, I don't want nothing to do with them. I really try my best to be as cordial as possible. Just because I'm cordial with you does not mean that I associate myself with you or that I trust you. I've been in a lot of times, it's so adaptable to me. It's so second nature to where I've lived with people, I've worked with people, I went to school with people. I even had people try to pursue me to where I had to be so cordial because it was just like, this is not going to work. And once again, if somebody wants to make up their mind about who you are, make them stand on it. If you say you don't like me, you need to keep that energy for the rest of your life. Why would I want to be friends with somebody who says they don't like me? They don't get to know you. Why would I want to be in an environment? Why would I trust somebody who went out their way to get me fired, to hurt or harm me, or to sabotage anything that I had going on for myself? Like, are you all right? And they're not. Stay away from these people. And if you are this person, you need to see therapists. You need to see psychiatrists. And you need to go to God, because what you put out, it does come back to you, regardless of what you want to believe or not. So whatever questions, comments, concerns that you have, and this video resonate with you, or you guys want a part 2, or you just want more recommendations, let me know, or your experience, as well as what you've been doing to acknowledge that you were a victim and what you're doing to move forward. As well as, if I haven't already, follow me on all my social media platforms. It's in the description down below. If you guys want me to go live talking about this in real time, drop the word live. Follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, because that's where I'll be going live until we can go live here. So make sure you guys are liking, commenting, engaging, and yeah, book yourself a senior session if you want like a more one-on-one intimate vibe. But I love you. You are loved. You're not alone. Thanks for watching. Peace. Until next time.